If you're talking about it, she's talking about it. This is Jordana Green on News Radio 830 WCCO.
Welcome back. It is 10:07. I am Jordana Green. Thank you for spending some time with me tonight. Lots of stories that we're going to get to. I promised we were going to talk about the Supreme Court ruling that we could say a prayer before a government meeting. We were going to talk about Ariel Castro's victims 1 year later. Those girls were held in the Cleveland home. I promise we're going to get to that one. But something I want to bring up, autism in children and how we can integrate them and make their lives a little bit easier. I have this incredible friend. Her kid is on the spectrum. He's not very affected by it, at least in my opinion, when I see him and interact with him. He goes to regular school, that kind of thing. So low end of the spectrum. Yet, I often see her intervene in his interactions when, we have a play date or he's hanging out with friends in a good way, not a meddling mom. She'll say, did you hear this person asked you a question? Or look at his face when you answer that question. Or it's time to stop talking now because other people want to talk. And she'll do it in a very nurturing and kind way. And we know, or she knows, that he needs the help with things like that because that's how autism affects some kids. They don't read social cues as well as other kids who are, keeping up, who are learning, who are just getting that naturally. Sometimes that's how autism works. Jeremy Bernstein is the creator of a new app and a new video game. He is a USC Business School project leader that has created a game called Social Clues, and it does just this. It's a video game that sort of acts like the mother and friend that I was talking about that teaches kids social clues. He's joining us now. Jeremy, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jordana, how are you?
I'm fascinated by this because before I read about your game, I often watch my friend do this with her son, and I think to myself, wow, she is Superwoman. Because she's really on this. She's watching his reaction. She's watching other people's reaction. It must be exhausting for her. Yet, what an amazing gift to him that she's doing all of this. And if she can have a little help from a video game that he would love to play, oh my goodness, that's like Christmas.
Yeah, and that's absolutely been the motivation here. I mean, this is a project we started because we saw a need that we needed a supplement for mothers who are working so hard, who have so much to take care of it as is. And if they could come home and rely on something like this, an app that they can just turn on, hand to their child and say, hey, review the lessons you learned today with your speech therapist, your OT, whatever it may be, this is definitely, a valuable tool.
Describe to me how the game called Social Clues works.
Okay. Social Clues at its core is about two shy kids. They learn their names are Participate and Communicate. And their toys go missing one day.
Participate and Communicate. So like Pete and Kate, that's adorable, by the way.
Thank you. Yes, and so it's Pete and Kate, and they learn that they've actually got longer names, bigger purpose, but their toys go missing, and now they've got to venture out and learn how to communicate in order to solve this bigger mystery. And so what we've done is we've built this game where it's kind of traditional in that it's like a role-playing game. Most kids are playing. They've got to, search around, look for things. But we force them to talk to people. We've got that clever conceit that says, no, you need to engage with other people in order to learn information. And then through that conversation, you can sort of find the things you need to complete the game. And it's in those conversational moments that we really have, I think, the gold, because those are all behind-the-scenes testable moments where they're choosing from various dialogue options and ultimately can navigate through that conversation, but the parents and therapists can see how they got through it.
And they then are forced to initiate a conversation, ask questions, and then elicit responses and make decisions based on those responses.
Yes, we've got what we call it's our 5-step roadmap for a conversation. But what we try and do is teach the child about emotional awareness, so to empathize and understand the other person's facial cues, then work through a comprehension scenario to see why do they feel the way they do. Then they're going to initiate, which is very tough, of course, for our children with autism because, just starting that conversation, choosing the right starter is so difficult. Maintaining is then staying on topic. and ultimately they get to an opportunity to problem solve. And so conflict resolution is another area where children with autism sometimes have deficits. So all 5 of those together kind of become our template for conversing in the real world.
And is it something that you can really actually teach and sink in? I get, when someone asks you a question, look at their face and answer them. But some of the social aspects of interaction are just so much more, under the radar. I just think can we really teach it?
Great question. And I would say that it varies by the person. It varies by, in our case, the player. It really comes down to we're trying to sort of utilize that notion of familiarity and routine to say, hey, this is kind of a general template you can use across the board. But ultimately, picking up on those sort of slighter cues does take time. And our tool is one where it would be better if children were interacting on a daily basis with real world, real people. Mm-hmm. So we're hoping that for those who maybe aren't there yet or are intimidated by that, this is a great stepping stool. And that from here, they can then launch into more direct engagement.
So is the game available widespread, or are you still in beta?
No, we're in beta. This is actually, to your introduction earlier, this is a project that I'm building with USC. I'm an MBA student there, but my wife and I had this nugget of an idea, and we really just kind of extrapolated and expounded on it, and then found out that USC has the #1 video game program in the country. Mm. So through a great deal of university collaboration and many passionate students, we're building what would be the first sort of beta download, but we're just closing on the first year of production and starting our testing. And by testing, I mean play testing. And then from there, we see how we can transition from this student development to being a full-fledged production.
So have you used it with any autistic children yet?
Yeah. We're so fortunate in that between initially friends, family, people we know who wanted to try it and interact with it, we started there. But over the course of the year, we've gotten more clinicians, therapists, clinics, and then most recently, Children's Hospital in Los Angeles out here has been working with us the last 3 months. So for, about, I want to say 10, 12 weeks, we've been bringing the game over to them and having people play with it and give us their feedback.
And what is the feedback from the kids and the parents? What are you seeing, and are they learning?
So I'm always astounded because you never know coming in. Every child with autism is different. It's a spectrum. And so people can be higher functioning, lower functioning. They can learn in certain ways, not others, or excel in various areas. So we don't know when people engage with the game and play with it, what are their strengths and how do they work best? And so as we watch them play, sometimes I'm like, okay, this boy, this girl's they got it. They understand it. And after a given play test, and I thought this one boy, really just was higher functioning in certain areas, his mom turns to me and says, he has never kept his eyes on the screen that long. He has never paid attention to something for that full 30, 45-minute play session. So what you guys have is gold here. I can't believe this.
Oh, see, I got chills when I hear that. I mean, when a mother sees a breakthrough like that with her child, that must be so rewarding.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, this is a dream project from start to finish, from, the adorable characters we've got to, the talented team, to being able to work with the fellow co-creator on this, which is my wife. So
yes, that's fantastic. It's funny. I was reading about the game, and of course I went on the App Store to try to find it, and obviously I can't yet.
Yes.
But I thought to myself, I do this with my kids. My kids aren't on the spectrum. And I say to them, like when we're at a restaurant, look at the waitress's face when you order, say please and say thank you. Like, these aren't necessarily things that are innate. I mean, I think what you're teaching also, of course, it's interaction for children who struggle with it, but it's also good manners. It's also proper communication. These
Absolutely.
are life skills that a lot of people don't necessarily know. Are there any plans, to broaden the game to just, sort of regular, average kids?
I mean, that's definitely been the goal. My wife, as a speech pathologist, works on pragmatics daily, and that's one of those things that people don't realize is in the field of speech and language pathology, is also just interacting with other people. And so, yes, the game is absolutely focused on autism, but the way by which it's focused is when we started this from scratch, we said, let's build so that children with autism are at the forefront, i.e. sound effects aren't overwhelming, and art is something they can understand, and all the pieces that I think other games would neglect maybe we tried to consider in the first place. But the game really can be and should be for any neurotypical children, ages 4 to 7, let's say, and it's a social coach. It's really teaching how to interact with people. It's those soft skills that I think many schools are neglecting as they focus more on the hard math, sciences, and histories.
I totally agree with you. And it's the thing sometimes, even as parents, we got so much going on, we forget. We go to the restaurant, we order for the kids. We speak for the kids. We're not doing our job telling them how to use nice manners and how to shake a hand and how to look at somebody in the eye. And I think that's a lost art. And if you can help out, they certainly would listen to a video game more than they would mom.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really just it. Is we were looking at the iPad and its magic. I mean, there were studies, of course, in the last 3 years that just show how much more time children spend with the iPad, but children with autism specifically. And my wife found that she was using the iPad as a reinforcement. It was, okay, you just went through this hard learning and all the science that we needed to go through. Here's your reward. You get to play a game. And so that sort of light bulb moment, that nugget was, hey, what if they were going to the iPad for that therapy and for that learning? So we just think it's the right medium. It's so tactile, and falling in love with again some fun characters doesn't hurt. So they actually want to finish the journey.
Well, Jeremy Bernstein, I love the whole project. The fact that you're doing with your wife is really amazing. The project is called Social Clues. It's in beta right now, which means it's in testing at USC in the business school. Jeremy, I really hope to see it on the market soon. I think you're going to do a lot of good with this, sir.
Jordana, thank you so much. Really appreciate those words of encouragement, and thank you for the time.
You got to come back when it's out. We want to share it.
We'll do, of course.
You got it. Have a good one.
Thank you
very much. I love that. I love smart people doing great stuff, and he is so right. Technology is an amazing thing, and it's really a breakthrough piece for kids that were unreachable before, that now that just might be the key to bring them back, something that we can share together. I absolutely love it. So fun to talk with him.